I think training women in menopause comes with a responsibility. If it's our mission to serve them, then we're tasked with the need to call them out and ourselves when we're misfiring ageist messages. I think we can agree on this. Age does not matter. It's ability. But age will continue to matter as long as clients say, and you or I give validation to things like this. I'm fill in the blank with an age. What exercise should I be doing? You look great for your age. I just can't do that any longer at my age. After menopause, you need to take it easier. None of the answers to those 4 questions or statements is founded in science or legitimized by anything but years of conditioning and habit. How you would answer, unless you're schooled in the science of muscle, bone, fat, and metabolism for women over 40, wouldn't be anything more than your conditioning, an opinion, or maybe a desire to sell something. We are not immune to ageism, though, especially if you hear a question or a statement like one of those. Immediately forming an answer tells you, maybe you're more ageist than you think. Said gently and said with respect. Instead of stopping the conversation right there and talking about the impression they have falsely acquired, if you dive into the answer, it suggests heavily to me that your antenna about these things is not up. I'm Deborah Atkinson. You're listening to She Means Fitness Business, where I address marketing and sales strategies that are easy, enjoyable, even fun. And I also share with you the insider tips for working with women in menopause that come based and founded in science, solidly used regularly in the Flipping 50 Menopause Fitness Specialist course. We're diving in today to a topic that is really a discussion. So I really welcome your comments today and hope that you will take this one for a walk, because I think it's one I can imagine going on a hike with, listening to thoughtfully, and then forming my own opinions. And it's a necessary one. So this is not necessarily one where, okay, you're going to come away with 4 sales strategies or 3 marketing things that you can go and do right now. I will give you some actionable items at the end, though, if you want to challenge yourself. And I highly encourage you to do that and to challenge me as well, and challenge all of your peers and colleagues to see just what exactly are you doing. Look, if you're training women in menopause, you unintentionally could be falling into this trap yourself, and it's not your fault. Well, I'll say that until now, because once you know, if you think like me, if you have the ability, now you have the responsibility to change it. If you are either the change or part of a problem, then I guess at the bottom of this podcast, you get to decide which you've been up until this moment and which you'll continue to be going forward. If training in women in menopause comes with responsibility to know beyond basics of exercise prescription, and of course it does. You know, you went through a 4-year degree. My bet, because I taught for 15 years, is that you didn't learn a lot about training women in menopause, perimenopause, what to expect, what to tell them to expect. Then we have to think more closely about our own use of messages in conversation with clients, including reaching them in social media. Let me give you some more examples of potential ageism and ask yourself if you've used any of these hashtags. I know I have. My hand is up over here. I am just as guilty. And then realizing only very recently that, wow, this isn't actually the positive message I want to send. It could be backfiring. So there are book titles and hashtags and program names that fall into this gray area that takes some dissection for us to really think about, like Younger Next Year. It was a book that came out probably at least a decade ago by now. Forever Young, hashtag aging backwards, hashtag aging in reverse, hashtag reverse aging, hashtag turn back time, turn back the clock, or hashtag anti-aging. I've recently shared something you want to know more about. If you share resources with your audience too, by the way, a podcast on Flipping 50 about C60 Purple Power with my audience. I'm using it right now. I never share something with my audience that I'm not trialing myself and then willing to come back. I will have to say this about the producers, creators of C60 Purple Power. They sent me the samples. I began using it just shortly before our first podcast, and they're coming back for a second one about 4 weeks later to talk about my results. That's pretty gutsy because they are totally open to hearing whatever it was I have to say. Now, it's going to work out to their benefit. I will tell you this. But let me tell you a little bit about C60 and how this is so relevant to this right now. C60 is a carbon molecule that's been found to be able to influence many things associated with aging positively. And among those are not only restoring libido and mitochondria production, but helping with wrinkles, fine lines, and graying. So I wonder, even in that, am I ageist? If we seek to turn back the clock to a time when we didn't have gray hair, gosh, for me, that'd be going way back to 26, or wrinkles, then aren't we trying to defy age instead of embracing it? Head scratcher for me. I don't know about you. What is ageism? You know, there are other virtues of the C60 products that support energy, vitality, physical performance, improvement, rather than accepting a decline that naturally occurs. And that is in quotes, by the way, air quotes, naturally occurs with aging. Isn't that, of course, beneficial to sustain or increase mitochondria production if it can be done without medication and simply by exercise, even intermittent fasting, and the support of C60? Is wanting to age better ageism? I don't think so, but I want to hear from you because it does take some sorting out. Like, where do we draw the line? Because there always will be one. I know there may be listeners who would say that you don't have a hormone problem if your hormones are flatlining after menopause, because that's nature. That's what's natural and supposed to happen. You just might say, okay, we'll accept it. That's normal for you. But is normal and common acceptable? What about optimal? When do we start saying average is okay? Now that we know through science that bioidentical hormones don't just help you with your libido, your more optimal weight, more optimal body composition, but that those things actually contribute a great deal to your health. Even libido, yes, intimacy is an important part of self-actualization, fulfillment, love, and energy, vitality, more improved or optimal body composition and weight impact your risk of disease and of susceptibility to stress. So there's so much here that's interwoven that it gets to be challenging to draw the line. If it's possible with bioidentical hormones or use of C60 or other products that are not medication with negative side effects that could have a profound effect on your health, is that something that we should consider? Is it something that is just available to us? Or is it neutral, or is it positive? It's something that I think I give to you as a rhetorical question. It's not necessarily there's one answer that fits all of us. Let me give you these neutral or positive age-related statements. Every age, any age, change the way we age, change the way we think about aging, which actually is the entire philosophy behind flipping 50. That's really the meaning of flipping 50 if you were to look it up in Webster's, and we made it there. Flipping 50 means changing the way we think about aging so that we can do the physical things, the activities, or stop doing them that also help optimize it. Change the way we age, by the way, is the tagline for the International Council on Active Aging, also a great resource for you to follow. So I do give credit where it's due in using it. Consider these positive or at least not negative phrases, just to give you some more fuel for thought. Active aging, older, wiser, age is irrelevant. That, by the way, is a podcast title by Helen Fritsch. And please also give her credit if you should use it. Older, Fitter, Stronger is a book by a former guest of the Flipping 50 podcast as well. Faster After 50, which is a book by Joe Friel. Pro-aging. So even hashtags and statements like hashtag never too old. When you think about it, the statement makes old bad, doesn't it? It says you'll never get there. However, it makes it this place where you never should want to. Do you see what I mean? It's bizarre if you think too deeply about it, but there is a mild connotation there with being old is negative. Of course, the recovery, you'll say, is no, it's just saying you're never going to be that. But again, that suggests old is something you never want. And I don't know about you, but I think we're not going to win that game. I like to ask questions when I'm with clients that I know the answer to, or at least know the answer to the answer that they tell me. And with this one, like trying to avoid being old means that we won't ever be old. And, regardless of, our chronological versus biological age, we are going to have more birthday candles, right? At some point, if we make it and if we're living well, that shouldn't it be okay? So I promised there would be some actions at the end of this, not just what may feel to you like a philosophy class. And I don't know about you. I made 2 days of my philosophy class and then I dropped it. It was just not for me. I thought I can take a different course to fulfill these credit needs, definitely. But here's my actions for you. Review your last 2 weeks of emails, posts, or videos. And if you have a ton of content, maybe you want to reduce that to just 1 week. But look for hashtags or statements that you made. Do you like your message? Is there anything that you want to change? Is there any way where you made aging a bad thing, where you made it seem that feeling old is a bad thing? Because what if feeling old is just based on the association we have with those 3 letters put together like that? Like OLD means something to us. What if it didn't? Or what if it meant the same as YOUNG? Had the same positive connotation, because even just that, try those 2 words on. Young, old. What feelings do you get from either one of them? Isn't that an interesting way to put it? I'd love to hear from you. And is this a great conversation starter for your clients or what? because none of us realizes we do this intentionally. So it's not that you're going to be correcting them in such a way that, is condescending. But I think if you want to open up the conversation with them so that they can catch you and you can catch them when you're together about what thoughts you might have. I know I can catch myself saying, is this things like, have you ever said this? It's hell getting old. I don't think I've said that in the last decade, but I know I did before that. And there's other things we just off the cuff say, oh, I'm getting old, and I hear my, I don't know when this started for my son, but at some point, I think it was at 24 or 25, he was like, oh, I'm getting old. I think it was when he was 24 and they were looking at their high school reunion, like the big five, 5 period, not 50. I'm like, okay, come back and talk to me, in another 35 years. Goodbye. Thank you. But, it's funny how we think about that, or we think about 30, even 20 being old. And it's just like, oh my goodness, where does this come from? What if instead you were infantile and immature? And we associate those kinds of words with young, but youth and young have just very different connotations than do age or old. So thoughts to think, right? And to contemplate on, and maybe to review. Are you sending the message? I think it is way too easy for any of us to be more ageist than we think we might be. So even the mere discussion of it can be a little challenging. All right. So again, I'd love to hear from you. It's a great conversation for your clients, and none of us realizes we do this intentionally. So all of us being a little bit more open to the thought about it is important. The way a woman wants to age really is her business. Our goal shouldn't be to change her, just to allow the way we each choose to age and how we choose to get there to be just fine, to be okay. If we ask, did she have work done, or what's she using? That just seems very invasive. It's really none of our business, is it? If she likes it. Or what if we'd say, I would never do that, or she looks so fake. We really should on everyone when we do that, including ourselves. I was at a restaurant with 2 friends recently when the waitress walked away. One of my friends said, was that a bad Botox job or what? And I hadn't even noticed. So therein lies the differences. We all have this, level of what's acceptable based on our own personal experience. But it is an opportunity right there to say, if she likes it, then go her, right? Why not celebrate the woman in a green dress, even if you hate green, or the one wearing the mini that you would feel slutty in? And if she likes it, she feels confident in it, do we really want to judge her? Whether age or otherwise, training women in menopause will bring you an opportunity not just to change sequences of exercises and diets for the better, but to change the level of acceptance and the peace within ourselves that makes this world a better place. By the way, when you see me doing something or saying something with an ageist slant, it's all fair. Ask me about it. We won't make this flip overnight, not any of us. But I think having a conscious attitude is really so very important. All right, that is it. I'm wrapping up today. The show notes for today will be at fitnessmarketingmastery.com/training women in menopause. And I will have some resources for you there, as well as other episodes that if you clicked on this one because it was intriguing, that you might also enjoy. What are you waiting for? The world needs us right now. Women in menopause need us right now more than ever.